MPP's vice presidential candidate says government will lay off workers in 2017, but government in a strong rebuttal says no.
Greater Accra NDC suspends 2 parliamentary candidates.
And on the foreign front, ahead of Johannesburg China-Africa Summit, President Mahama interacts with Chinese Premier. Hello, good evening, and many thanks for joining us. We are coming to you live on your news channel GBC24 and Ghana Television. This is News Hour. My name is Akmene Avo Ajaja.
Many thanks for joining us. My name is Selike Makola Chapalu. Also here in the studio to give us the sign language translation of this news package is Clement Sam. And now the details.
The vice presidential candidate of the NPP, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has once again emphasized that government will lay off workers in 2017 under the IMF deal.
According to him, the move is a conditionality from an IMF bailout. The former deputy governor of the central bank is calling on the government to be transparent with the IMF deal.
The conditionalities of the IMF program was a commitment by this government to rationalize the size of the civil service. Paragraph 65 of the agreement with the IMF states as follows, that government will undertake, and I quote, the government will undertake with the assistance of development partners a comprehensive plan to rationalize the size and increase the efficiency of the civil service and allied services on the payroll.
Meanwhile, the government says there are no plans to lay off public sector workers by 2017 under the IMF public sector rationalization policy. The Deputy Minister for Finance, Keso Atto-Forsen, tells GBC24 that the statement put out on Wednesday by the NPP vice presidential candidate, Dr. Bawumia, was inaccurate, and he insisted that the government will not sack a single public sector worker under the IMF program.
I've read the Memorandum of Economic and Financial Policy, the MEFP, what we call the government program that we sent to IMF under President Kufuor, the NPP one. There are 2 programs and under the NDC. What amazes me is that public sector reform or rationalization is in each one of them. The one that when he was a governor, that we signed, his boss, the then Dr. Aqua, signed on behalf of the central bank. The then finance minister, the late Honorable Banredu, signed on behalf of the Ministry of Finance, includes public sector rationalization. Is he telling me they laid off workers on the back of that? If he says that, then fine. He did not, and we will not. I was privileged to be a member of the negotiation team. I was part of the team that reviewed the MEFP. At no stage in the negotiation that we discuss public sector retrenchment. Public sector rationalization. Coming through my office, you saw 2 secretaries, 1 messenger. The role of the messenger is to make sure he does the filing and send mails from our office to another place. That is his job. The secretaries are 2. They have their job description given to them by Civil Service, Office of Head of Civil Service. Job description. Maybe the Director of Budget or the Chief Director's Office, they have only 1 secretary, or they don't even have any secretary. Some of the directors don't have secretary. what we are only going to do is to do rationalization to find out that do I indeed need 2 secretaries here or I need 1? And if indeed one of the directors require additional secretary, and if we are going to recruit a secretary for that director, why don't you pick one from our office to give to that person? So that some of the offices that we go to, that you see people overcrowded doing nothing, we can get them to do something at different places. Does that mean job cut? Does that mean you are sacking someone? Please, you should read again.
And staying with politics, the Greater Accra Regional NDC has suspended from the party newly elected parliamentary candidate for the Ningo Pram constituency, Mr. Sam George, and the Member of Parliament for La Dadekotoponi Amasana Mwale, who was re-elected for the 2016 elections. The suspension takes off from December 1, 2015, and it is for accusing the regional executives for perpetrating fraud to the benefit of contenders in the just-ended parliamentary primaries. And moving on to some other stories now. This year's National Farmers' Day is slated for Friday, the 4th of December, 2015 at Bolga in the Upper East region. That's tomorrow. The economy of Ghana, like many African countries, is agriculture driven. But the continent's farm yields are low, and the agriculture sector in Africa is at least the least productive in the world, with an average productivity of 36%. Africa's current food import is in excess of $25 billion per year. The continent currently imports more than 23 metric tons of cereals annually, and its food trade deficit is projected to grow to more than 98,000 metric tons by 2050. Only 34% of rural Africans are living within 2 kilometers of an all-season road, compared to East Asia and the Pacific countries, where 90% of the rural populations have such access. Now, my colleague Abdul Hai Mumin is in the Upper East region for tomorrow's celebrations and joins us on the line from Bolga. Hello, Abdul. Abdul, if you can hear me, can you give us an update of developments ahead of tomorrow's awards ceremony? Abdul?
Hello.
Right, great to have you on the line. So, Abdul, you are now in Bolga ahead of the National Farmers' Day Awards tomorrow. Can you give us an update of developments where you are?
Certainly, Selikem, I can tell you that for people who intend to travel to Bogatanga for this year's Farmers' Day event, you know that the national event is being held in the town of Bogatanga. The drivers must be very careful, and that's because the Harmattan has really set in to the extent that visibility is almost zero. People in Bogatanga, because of the weather, are beginning to express fear as to whether or not the officials who are expected to be here to greet the occasion would indeed be able to make it. You know that last year a lot of flights had to be cancelled due to the visibility difficulties because of the weather in Tamale in particular. You know that many people would come, fly to Tamale and then proceed to Bogatanga by road. And so these are fears that many of the people in Bogatanga who are anxiously waiting for the national event to be hosted by them tomorrow, these are the fears they are expressing. And again, we've been to the Bolga Girls Senior High School where the event is expected to take place, and people are feverishly preparing. Over here, interestingly, the people call the Farmers' Day a great show, and that's because I believe the tradition here has been for people who are into agriculture, be it farmers or be it people who manufacture inputs for farmers. This is an occasion where they come to showcase whatever it is that they have been able to invent and to produce in the last year. So they find this as an occasion for them to showcase whatever it is that they have to the wider country, for more people to see what it is that the people of the Upper East region and the Boga in particular are able to produce when it comes to agriculture. But again, you know that Palugu is within the Upper East area, and indeed it's just about a 15 minutes drive from Bogatanga. I've been there, and I've been speaking to a few people there, because Palugu is noted for a tomato factory. And many of the youth here say that given the opportunity, they would come to Accra. And given the opportunity, they would even prefer to sleep on the streets of Accra and Kumasi, because there are no jobs here. And the Palugu tomato factory, according to them, is not providing any jobs for them at all. And they believe, or they wish that come tomorrow, something will be said about the Palugu tomato factory and the fact that it might be, some investments will be put into it to make it more vibrant than it is at the moment. Again, they have talked about the fact that in the previous years, farmers, especially from this region, from this particular region, Upper East region, have had to commit suicide because they borrowed money from banks. They made a lot of harvest, and yet they didn't have market for those harvests, and so they got a lot of debt, which they couldn't pay back, to the extent that some of them had to commit suicide. Now, the people are saying that the bank that used to give them those loans is no more giving them loans. The ADB is down, and they are worried, and they think that tomorrow will be a final opportunity for something to be said about the ADB and for some action to be taken so that ADB will become what it used to be. Again, they have been talking about Agric's share of the GDP and the fact that it keeps going down. Very finally, Silicon, let me just give you this, because they're saying that they don't understand why agriculture, the country, the money that was allocated to agriculture last year, as much as 40 million has been slashed off that money. And they believe that tomorrow will be a final opportunity for some of these issues to be raised and for them to see the future of agri in this country.
Right. Despite all these fears that you say the farmers have expressed and all these concerns they have expressed and hoping that will be addressed tomorrow, are they excited in any way, looking forward to this celebration? Because it is their day, it will be their day tomorrow. Are they excited and looking forward to it?
Of course, they're very excited. As we speak, many of them are on the grounds right now, the Boga Girls Senior High School, putting up their shirts and making sure that the exhibits, which they intend to exhibit tomorrow, are well prepared and well displayed for the public to see tomorrow. The atmosphere is that of excitement, I can tell you, Silicon.
Right. Any security arrangements made ahead of tomorrow? Any security arrangements made ahead of tomorrow's celebrations?
Well, Bogatanga is really not one of those towns that is notorious for security breaches. But again, I've seen a few police vehicles patrol the town. Right. But really, because this is not one of those high-tension programs, we do not see the sirens and too many, armed policemen around. No, but yes, you can see a few policemen in their vehicles patrolling the township.
Right. Thank you very much, Abdul. We'll be talking to you certainly tomorrow when the program kicks off. That's my colleague Abdul Haimumin, who is in Bolga ahead of the National Farmers' Day celebration slated for tomorrow. Moving on.
It's still News Hour live on your news channel GBC24 to education now. In line with efforts to improve tertiary education in the country, the National Accreditation Board has introduced a new set of policies which includes board inspection and approval of proposed sites for tertiary institutions. The Executive Secretary of the board, Mr. Kwame Date, says the siting of educational institutions has a direct bearing on teaching and learning. The new policies address concerns raised by the public on the need for higher standards at the tertiary level.
As Ghana continues to be bedeviled by the growing pains of a rapidly expanding higher education system without proper funding, so are tertiary institutions springing up all over the country. Currently, there are over 60 tertiary institutions awarding various degrees, some of which are neither accredited nor even have licenses to operate as institutions. According to the body mandated to regulate activities of tertiary institutions in Ghana, the NAB, these institutions that decline accreditation argue that they are faith-based organizations, while others claim their standards are higher than those even set up by NAB. Some accredited institutions also go ahead to award degrees that they are not licensed to give out. This has led to an influx of graduates with certificates that are not recognized. There have been instances where students have to cut short the education once the board catches up with institutions committing the illegal act. The mission of the National Accreditation Board is to provide the best basis for establishing, measuring and improving standards in tertiary education in Ghana. The new policies include institutions seeking accreditation showing financial guarantee to ensure completion of enrolled students in case of eventualities.
There are a lot of people in the system with qualifications coming from sources one cannot attest to. So I would like to appeal to the public and employers, schools, that if anybody brings some certificate from anywhere else, apart from our known system, even from our known system, you should bring it for assessment and evaluation.
The National Accreditation Board says it has put in place measures to ensure that Ghanaian certificates are able to compete internationally. They are therefore calling on employers to help rid the system of forged certificates and certificates from unaccredited institutions by critically examining certificates that job seekers present for employment. The forum was an opportunity for partners in tertiary education to interact with the board.
Recent expansion and dynamism in global digital media is the reason for the flurry of creative works to position Ghana as a force in digital media. The Director General of GBC, Major Albert Don Chebe, says the state broadcaster will serve as a fountain for reference. He has advised 76 newly admitted students to NAFTI to stretch their creativity in new media to cover other fields.
The National Film and Television Institute, NAFTI, has over the years trained professionals in film directing, film editing, animation and film sound production, among others, for the film industry in Ghana and also for the sub-region. The 76 students who have been admitted in the degree program for the 2015-2016 academic year will be studying various courses in TV production, motion and picture photography, TV directing, art direction, and cinematography. The rector of the institute, Professor Linus Abraham, said since 2010, the institute has made conscious effort to increase intake as a way of filling the Ghana media industry with the right expertise to enhance the development of the industry in the country.
NAFTI is transforming ourselves into a media and creative arts university that will better serve the ever-growing convergences in the creative and media arts industry in the country.
The Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Major Albert Don Chebe, described NAFTI as a key partner to the growth of the corporation, as NAFTI serves as a training ground for skilled and professional personnel for the corporation.
NAFTI's curriculum, which equally combines liberal studies and skilled professional film and television training, is exactly what is needed to enhance the development of media in our country. And so, as GBC revamps and transforms itself to serve its role as a public service broadcaster, we will be relying a lot on NAFTI products.
He also urged the students to take advantage of the recent expansion in the creative industries. The CEO of TV Africa, Nana Kwawansa, had some words of wisdom to share with the new students.
You've entered the industry of creativity. Scholarship is very important, but it boils down to creativity. No matter how scholarly you are, you ought to let me feel that I belong.
The students will be studying for a 4-year period.
The Defense Minister of the Republic of Ireland, Mr. Simon Coveney, has suggested an increased appointment of females into strategic positions where decisions on whether to go to war or not are taken. Delivering a lecture to mark 50 years of peacekeeping around the world in Accra, Mr. Conway noted that as part of efforts to douse the sparks of gender-based violence, a country or a movement must not go to war at all, and that is possible when females have the decision-making clout. Furthermore, he urged the international system to take quick steps to secure vulnerable people caught in conflict situations. A report by Napoleon Atukito.
The Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, KAIPTC, in Accra, was the venue where the Irish Defence Minister delivered his lecture to mark 50 years of peacekeeping operations in the world by the Republic of Ireland. Mr. Simon Coveney, who was previously a Minister of Agriculture, said KAIPTC was chosen for this lecture because of the center's role in peace building worldwide, especially in Africa. Speaking before a military audience, Mr. Coveney said the Republic of Ireland is probably the country with the highest tally when it comes to unbroken, uninterrupted peacekeeping duties around the world. His country was in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Lebanon and the Golan Heights, among others. To him, peacekeeping operations are crucial in determining whether a country can make a return to peace and good governance. He called for a bridge which Ireland is connecting to the rest of the world by sharing the country's lessons with others.
It's important to have centres like this one that brings peacekeepers together to focus on training, not just on what makes a good soldier, but also what makes a good diplomat, a good counsellor, so that actually soldiers and peacekeepers can provide the kind of supportive role that's needed to rebuild communities after conflict situations.
He spoke about how to manage gender-based violence in conflicts, citing the module as the focal point of renewed overtures at peace.
I focused specifically today on gender-based violence, which is unfortunately a real problem in conflicts today, where sexual violence and rape is used as a tool of war, and we need to be responding to that in terms of our capacity as peacekeepers to be able to support vulnerable women in conflict zones, and we need to get much more effective at that. One of the ways we can do that is to have more women as peacekeepers in our defence forces. We also are looking at putting together female units within peacekeeping operations that can reach out to female communities in a much more reassuring way than maybe men can.
He said Africa must take responsibility in terms of solutions to conflicts on the continent. The Irish Defence Minister was accompanied by his country's top diplomat in Nigeria, Ambassador Sean Hoy. The Republic of Ireland has been neutral in international relations since the 1930s. To date, Ireland has not sought to join as a full NATO member due to its traditional policy of military neutrality. Napoleon Atukito, Accra.
The Minister for Roads and Highways, Alhaji Inusa Fusheni, says road users, especially pedestrians, must take road safety very seriously as Christmas approaches. According to him, this is very critical in complementing the government's efforts at reducing road accidents in the country. Alhaji Fusheni gave this advice at the inauguration of the Malam Market Footbridge in Accra.
The project, which is part of the ministry's aim to build pedestrian footbridges at hazardous road locations in Ghana, include the construction of similar ones at Tetekwashi and Shiashi in Accra and the KNUST junction in Kumasi. The 46-meter span bridge was completed in 9 months. It is expected to aid pedestrians to cross the 6-lane dual carriageway safely. This, in turn, will reduce road carnage to the barest minimum. It is also to allow vehicular traffic to move freely without any pedestrian interruptions. The sector minister Alhaji Inusa Fusheni said the cost of this bridge was borne jointly by the governments of Ghana and Austria.
Sometimes in carrying your load, you are unable to cross the road with the speed that is required to evade traffic. And so vehicles knock down some of your colleagues who are unable to cross the road. Now, you don't need to cross the road by foot. Use the footbridge and cross the road, thereby saving yourself from unnecessary accidents.
The queen of the Malam Market Women's Association, Madame Na Lamble Lamte, thanked government for the timely construction of the footbridge, as a number of accidents have been recorded at the location where the bridge is sited.
One dawa papa President Mahama shi, kawa minister shi, baneng me brofo me, ni akeneke ni ne ba afawo ye Ghana, titru jalaye, ni wajo Malam Market ne no, off Malam Road benehe, ni akaba drowo, one danyo wasibabao, engwa nawa.
With the commissioning of this footbridge, carting of goods from one end of the road to the other will no longer be a nightmare.
This is News Hour live on your news channel GBC24 and GTV.
We'll take a quick break. When we return, Morris Ogbete will join us with the business news. Do stay.
A very good evening. Time to bring you up to speed with happenings from the world of business. This package is brought to you by EcoBank, Airtel, and Hisense. My name is Morris Ogbete. Now, Ghana Oil Company Limited, GOIL, is one of the major players in the oil marketing industry with over 50 years in operations. GOIL has the largest retail network in the country, with the marketing of diesel and gasoline accounting for the bulk of its revenue. As the year draws to a close, we want to look into the operations of GOIL and see how the company has fared in the wake of steep competition in the market and deregulation introduced by the MPA some 6 months ago. And I've been joined by the Fuels Marketing Manager of GOIL, Mr. Alex Aziu, to help us do the discussions. Now, you understand that deregulation was one of the key variables that shaped the oil marketing industry in this particular year. Did you support this particular policy even before it came into being?
Yeah, I must say that GOIL took an active part in the deregulation that occurred somewhere around June 16th,
right,
when the MPA decided to let go of the pricing of petroleum products. Right. Indeed, there was a lot of apprehension by the general public because people thought that with the deregulation, prices were going to go up and all that. What really happened was that as soon as the deregulation started on June 16th, most of the oil marketing companies hiked their prices. Right. In order to be able to stabilize the regime, what GOIL did was that we maintained our prices and for about a month. And when the other oil marketing companies realized that everybody was now turning towards GOIL and supporting because we're having a low price at our stations, right, most of them were forced to come down. Since then, GOIL has become a benchmark for setting petroleum prices in the country. I
asked you this question some time ago, and I'll ask you again. When you decided to reduce your prices, at the time you've gone to buy oil already from the market, the same markets that other oil marketing companies, went to buy the oil, did you make some losses?
No, what the strategy was to reduce our margins. Right. So we reduced our margins, and the effect was that we made gains from the extra patronage from the Ghanaian public, right, because our volumes increased, and that compensated for the decrease in margins that we offered the public.
Some still believe that with the price of oil going down to around $40 and with the Ghana cedi stabilizing, we deserve better than what we are seeing currently. Is GOIL ready to still reduce further their prices?
Indeed, it's happening on the market. Just today, GOIL had to reduce its price to reflect the changes on the market. And like I told you earlier, GOIL has become a benchmark. Okay. Now, as soon as the window opens, everybody is looking up to Ghana Oil Company Limited to see what we are going to do, and then they also, adjust their prices, right, to match whatever GOIL is offering. So
I think it's good news. GOIL, yes, reduced their prices today. Can you let us into the margin of reduction or the percentage of reduction? If
we went down approximately about 6%.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So now we will talk more about the GOIL brand. Yes. I mean, this is a company that people know belonging to the government, and the perception people have about, yes, companies that are operated or public companies. Is that the same with GOIL? Do you do things differently?
I must say that GOIL is a company listed on the stock exchange.
Right.
Indeed, it started as a multinational company in the year 1960, and at the time it was known as Agip Ghana Limited. It was the marketing wing of Agip Petroli, now ENI SPA, who are involved in offshore activities, production and exploration. And in the year 1974, the government acquired 100% shares in the then Agip Ghana Limited, and in 1975 renamed it as Ghana Oil Company Limited. I must say that in the year 2007, government also gave opportunity to all Ghanaians to buy shares of GOIL. So government offloaded 49% of its shares, and as I can say that as of today, over 16,000 Ghanaians own part of GOIL, both Ghanaians and then Ghanaian companies, and then 51% is also held in trust for the people of Ghana by the government.
Right. So can you tell me why, if I own a car, I should drive past any oil marketing company or any oil marketing outlet and come to GOIL? What do I stand to gain?
Yeah, there are a number of reasons. The first reason is that when you buy from GOIL, you are being very, very patriotic. The state imports over $2 billion, of fuel into the country.
Right.
And so the petroleum downstream has become a very important sector, just as the power, sector. And because government, in a way, has shifted itself off the pricing of petroleum products, it's very, very important that you get a very strong, competent, and patriotic indigenous Ghanaian company, to be able to stabilize things in the economy. If we do not do that, then you are bound to have what the public actually feared: formation of cartels, manipulation of prices, and what have you. With the presence of GOIL, with a very big presence of GOIL, it brings a lot of stability in pricing. And what also happens is that once people buy from GOIL, you help to grow the Ghanaian economy.
Right.
What you do is that the profits that come to GOIL remains in the country. It is not taken out. We use it to develop the country. Now, additionally, GOIL is made in Ghana, brand. Like I rightly said,
Right.
Over 16,000 Ghanaians have shares in GOIL,
Right.
made in Ghana. And when you buy from GOIL, you buy made in Ghana good.
Okay.
And additionally, what happens is that when you buy from GOIL, you help to, promote this idea of we patronizing made in Ghana, goods. All over Africa and in some parts of the world as well, indigenous companies are taking over the control of the downstream sector. So why not Ghana?
Right.
So this is an opportunity for every Ghanaian to patronize GOIL service stations, and as they do that, they develop our country.
Right. Let's switch back to deregulation again.
Yes.
Can you tell me categorically that deregulation didn't form any kind of cartel, that you're operating independently as oil marketing companies? You're not consulting each other?
Not at all. I mean, it reflects in the prices that you see on the market. Like I said, even if one or two companies will form cartel, what is it to, about the other 85 companies in the country? And as an indigenous company, we have taken the step to ensure that this cartel, will definitely be broken down. Because once we have the leadership in pricing, making sure that we price appropriately, just like we did during the onset of the deregulation, Ghanaians have come to believe in GOIL. Ghanaians have come to trust in GOIL, that we are being truthful to them when it comes to pricing.
Right.
And we have demonstrated that. And Ghanaians are also rewarding GOIL by mass patronage at our stations.
Right.
So we encourage everybody, to patronize GOIL. And one other thing that I want to also emphasize is that last year, towards Christmas and New Year, we rewarded our loyal customers, for patronizing our products. This year, we are doing the same. And so we want to assure all our good customers that they are in for very big surprises. Right. They should continue patronizing, our services at the stations.
Right. We'll be wrapping up on this particular conversation, but really, just after the introduction of deregulation, you realize that the emphasis shifted to the price of petrol,
yes,
which brought about competition in the industry. Did it have any effect on you, Goyle?
I wouldn't say competition is good. Competition is good, and because of our pricing policy, like I said, sales have skyrocketed, right. And we thank the Ghanaian public for being very, very patriotic and patronizing our activities. In fact, we were recognized in the quite recent Club 100 awards. We were the best oil marketing company to be awarded, and then also the Made in Ghana awards. We also we're also given the best, recognized as the best oil marketing company. Right. And then quite recently, in terms of customer service, we've also been awarded, as the best oil marketing company for 2015. Right. So that tells you that the competition has, caused us to do things that will put us where we belong to.
Right. Finally, before I let you go, yes, you look into the camera and tell your numerous customers out there, Christmas is just around the corner. Tell them something.
Yeah, all I would say is that we are very, very grateful. We thank you for the mass patronage. We want to assure you that GOIL will continue to market very quality products, and you are assured of excellent delivery of our services. We also want you to know that when you patronize GOIL, you are being very, very patriotic. GOIL is a good energy. GOIL belongs to all of us, and we want everybody to just trip to GOIL service stations, and we have very good things in store for them.
Thank you very much. And I've been talking to Mr. Alex Azil. He is the Fuels Marketing Manager of Ghana Oil, GOIL. We have been talking about the oil marketing sector and deregulation. Quickly, we move over to the interbank market and get the latest on how the local currency is performing. We also bring you latest price of gold, cocoa and oil on the international commodities market. And that was business brought to you by EcoBank, Airtel, and Hisense.
Welcome back. In the health segment of the news, a team of Chinese ophthalmologists have restored the sight of some 200 blind and cataract patients free of charge at Teshi, a suburb of Accra. The team also donated surgical equipment worth $580,000 to the Lekma Hospital, where the joint free screening and sight restoration project is taking place. Vice President Kwesi Emisa Arthur, who observed the process, described cataract as a biological condition with an economic bearing which has to end in this country.
Cataract is the natural lens in one's eyes. Acting as a camera lens, it is used to focus to enable a person see properly. Any clouding of this natural lens causes blurred vision or blindness, just like the case of 28-year-old Selena Odum. This condition is mainly caused by aging, birth defects, trauma, diabetes, cigarette smoking, and overexposure to ultraviolet lights. The good news is that, unlike glaucoma, cataract is reversible. Through surgery, the cloudy lens can be removed and replaced with artificial lens implant. And this is what Bright Journey medical team from the Ophthalmic Center of Tunsang University Hospital in China have done on some 200 cataract patients for the past 2 weeks free of charge at the Lekma Hospital, Teshin. An ophthalmologist with the team, Dr. Zheng Danying, advised Ghanaians to test their eyes frequently and seek early medical care if they sense any itching in the eye.
In the patients, if he can have some problems, it better go to the hospital to see the doctor. It's quite important things. Many disease, as when you treat earlier, you can recover. But later, unfortunately, we are unsatisfied to see some patients have chronic glaucoma. It cannot recover.
The kind gesture of the Chinese government caused Vice President Kwesi Mr. and Health Minister Alex Segbefia to observe the process and symbolically unwrap the gauze on the eye of a successful case. He also took delivery of the equipment worth $587,000, which was donated by the Chinese team. Addressing the hospital staff and medical team, Mr. Arthur described cataract as a biological condition which has far-reaching economic implications on the people, which government is working to stop.
We should be able to deliver a lot of people from the economic problems that they face. Because when you can't see, you become a burden to people. You see young children who are then taken out of school to leave people who cannot see along and take them away. So we free children to go to school, we free children to do other things than become guides for old people who have failing sight. And I know that this is particularly a condition for those of us who are old, because the older you get, the more you are prone to cataract.
Some beneficiaries of the free surgery expressed joy about seeing again.
It's both eyes. So last week I went through one, and this morning too I've gone through at the other one. In fact, formerly I cannot even walk alone. They have to hold my hands before I can walk. But now, today I came to the hospital alone because I can see clearly with the one that they have done first.
Management of the hospital said the donated equipment will enable them reach out to communities to correct eye problems.
We're going to start planning outreaches to get a lot more clients to enjoy this equipment that has been brought. As for the free, I'm sure that with probably health insurance, we could work something out, because the consumables that will be used will be on health insurance. So even if people will pay, I'm sure it's not going to be much.
Another batch of Chinese surgeons are already in Komfanochi Teaching Hospital, Kumasi, to do the first ever free cardiovascular surgeries, a sign of deepening Ghana-China relations. Ngto Bibiningto, GBC24, Accra.
An estimated 1 billion people living with disabilities worldwide face many barriers to inclusion in many key aspects of society. As a result, people with disabilities do not enjoy access to society on an equal basis with others in all areas, including transportation, employment, education, social and political participation. As the world marks the International Day of People with Disability, the UN has drawn attention to the essence of the right to participate in public life. The day seeks to promote awareness and mobilize support for issues relating to the inclusion of persons with disabilities in society. The day is used for discussions, forums, and campaigns relating to disability, and communities are encouraged to organize meetings, talks, and even performances in their local areas. The aim is to show non-disabled people that a person with disability can be a vibrant member of society. That's all in the health segment. Next, we have the international segment. Do stay.
Welcome back. In some international news, President John Mahama has arrived in South Africa to participate in the Johannesburg summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. He is accompanied by the First Lady, Mrs. Lordina Mahama. President Mahama has already held preliminary talks with the President of China, Xi Jinping. The bilateral discussions focused on political and development cooperation between the two countries. The forum, which opens on Friday, will include an exhibition of the China-Africa equipment and manufacturing industry. President Mahama will address the forum on Saturday. Meanwhile, Mrs. Mahama will, in her capacity as president of the Organization of African First Ladies Against AIDS, co-host an HIV and AIDS side event with the First Ladies of China and South Africa.
In the U.S., police are trying to establish why a man and woman opened fire at social services center in California, killing 14 people and wounding 17 more. The pair, said Rizwan Farouk and Tashfeen Malik, were killed in an exchange of fire with police. The mass shooting took place in the Inland Regional Center in San Bernardino, where Farouk worked. The FBI is investigating terrorism and a workplace grudge as possible motives. The incident marks the deadliest mass shooting in the U.S. since 26 people were killed at a school in Newton, Connecticut in 2012. Farouk and Malik are thought to be a couple with a 6-month-old baby. Well, that's all in the international news. Up next is Theophilus Sampa with sports.
Good evening. Let's update ourselves from happenings in the world of sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa. This is in partnership with Tobinku Pharmaceuticals Limited, producers of Lunat. Let's move straight to the Rainbow Nation, South Africa, where Olympic athlete Oscar Pistorius has been found guilty of murder after a South African appeals court overturned an earlier manslaughter verdict. He killed his girlfriend, River Steenkamp, in February 2013 after shooting her 4 times through a locked toilet door. He is currently under house arrest after spending 1 year of his original 5-year sentence in jail. Pistorius will have to return to court to be resentenced for murder. South Africa's Supreme Court of Appeal ruled that the lower court did not correctly apply the rules of dolus eventualis, whether Pistorius knew that a death would be a likely result of his action. The minimum sentence for murder is 15 years, but judges can apply some discretion. South African law does not make provision for someone to be placed under house arrest for more than 5 years, so Pistorius will be going back to prison. Back home, 5 national para athletes that raised the flag of Ghana high on the international stage this year have received awards. The ceremony forms part of activities marking the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. For their exceptional display in their disciplines, the Dan Devan group of companies patted these athletes on their back. The 5 are Patrick Yawaben, Maclean Jijonu, Buche Inkebe, Abubakar Yakubu, and Aishatu Seidu. These athletes at the recent All Africa Games contributed to the 19 medals Team Ghana got at the Games. Dignitaries at the event included officials from the Ministry of Youth and Sport and the National Sports Authority, the Brazilian ambassador to Ghana, the deputy head of missions for the Japan Embassy, officials from Ethiopian Airlines, and Ghana's chef de mission for the Rio 2016 Olympics, Chris Sophie, among others. The athletes were grateful.
This 2015 is my year because I went to All African Games, I win 2 medals, and then now they nominated me for Swag Awards programs, and then this is my second in this year. Honor me this award because they honor me in my church. I came from the Congo. It's my happiest year, it's my happiest day, and it's happy in my life.
This is a motivation to us, and it's a motivation to some of our colleagues on the street to know that when you join disability sports, at least you will not be left down like that, but you can make it out of doing para sports.
2016 just around the corner is going to be a morale booster for us to go
and see our qualification next year and see how best we can go and represent our nation. And once again, just prove to Ghanaians that disability is not inability.
And it always gladdens my heart when I see the physically challenged, that they are happy. And this happiness is what I long for, and I'll continue to support them so that they also feel being part of our society.
The occasion was used to officially launch the Dan Devan group of companies. So that's all for sports.
Hello and welcome to the entertainment and arts segment of the news. My name is Michelin Taka. Ghanaian poet Oswald Okaite is set to stage a drama on Nelson Mandela. Oswald is being assisted by Efo Sela, a creative artist who will be showcasing his paintings alongside the two were our guests on Showbiz earlier on 24. Drama this time.
We have had enough of the standing behind the microphone. We have had enough of the reading and learning. Now we have to see a new phase of it. So we give a drama touch to it.
Well, why Mandela?
No, Mandela had some of his training in Ghana during colonial time, and Ghana was part of the struggle to help end apartheid and then get the sovereignty of South Africans. And Mandela is a noble son of Africa.
We as African people are, an artistic race. We embed a lot of history in our oral tradition, in our artworks, and in our surroundings. So the paintings that I created are not just art for art's sake. They are functional. They have meaning. They are philosophical underpinnings, like philosophical backgrounds to all the paintings. So when you come, don't just come and look at the paintings. You learn about the apartheid struggle. A lot of kids these days, they know Nelson Mandela, who is just projected as a saint. They don't know the struggle he went through. This was a man who was on the verge of starting a conversation with cockroach in his prison cell. This shows, the amount of depression, Nelson Mandela had to go through in Robben Island. They don't know all. Yes, exactly. They don't know all of this. So these are some.
That's all entertainment. The news continues.
With technical support from the Ghana Meteorological Agency.
Good evening, it's a pleasure to have you on the weather report segment of the evening news. There is showing at the bottom of your screens recorded rainfall over the past 24 hours. So let's see the changes that are likely to affect us in terms of the weather over the next 24 hours. For tomorrow morning, few clouds will form across the entire country with a slightly hazy weather over northern Ghana. However, some isolated rainfall is expected over the middle belt. Temperature-wise, a minimum of 21 degrees Celsius would affect the north, 23 and 25 over the middle and the coastal belt, respectively. For tomorrow afternoon, a cloudy atmosphere would engulf most parts of southern Ghana, with some isolated thunderstorms accompanied by some rainfall affecting this entire belt. Temperature-wise, a maximum of 38 degrees Celsius would affect the north, 33 over the middle, and 31 degrees Celsius over the coastal areas. And finally, for humidity, it's likely to be low over the north, average over the middle belt, and higher across the rest of the country over the next 24 hours. Over the next 48 hours, we expect humidity to be normal over most parts of southern Ghana, but here is the weather in detail. Stay tuned.
It's been 60 minutes of news. Many thanks for staying through the news with us. We will be back with news tonight. Have a pleasant evening.